Hello. Hello. Here we are once again, calling out to you from the ether.
I feel like it's been a minute since we've been back, and I've seen you guys. How's everyone been?
Doing good.
Good.
You can see we now have finally some furniture in my little office, which is nice. Furniture, a little spike gifts,
some decorations,
right? little iron cage decal that I made that was way too big because I forgot to test print. So now I've got a giant decal that I don't know where I'm going to use it, but it's on the wall for now.
That's fair. It has a destiny, but right now it's art. In the future, it'll be art somewhere else.
Could be a nice lower back tattoo one day.
Yeah, total tramp stamp. Total tramp stamp.
I'm trying to make a Sigmar joke out of that, but I haven't got the gas yet. We'll come back to it.
I don't think we can do one.
No.
I mean, temporary tattoos. We can find a way. We'll find a way. There's a way.
A neck tattoo.
Yeah, like full mace head right here, right?
Yeah.
One little one behind the ear. Actually, I might get that. That's actually a pretty good idea. Anyways, welcome to Always Strikes Last, everyone. We are striking last. The AOS podcast that talks about striking last and other things. And
it's gonna be a wild one. I know that we've teased you guys by having a slight delay in a number routine schedule of once a week, but don't worry, we're back on it.
We're back, baby.
Yeah. Gonna give you some of the good stuff. This is a wild time to be involved in Age of Sigmar, right? It's almost like the Christmas of the year when we're at that liminal zone between old GHP and new GHP, and people are sharing around rumors or leaks and all that. So yeah, I'm sure everyone just kind of holding their breath.
Yeah, got the next 30 days of Scourge, Gyran leaks, which was nice.
Yeah.
The whole bunch of fun where a ton of people read the PDFs and scour through and come up with assumptions and come to their conclusions, and then immediately get to the actual table where mistakes happen and nothing is planned correctly, like TTS and stuff like that. And those assumptions are either tested and fall apart, or they ring true in almost a lopsided fashion, I think, right?
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially with weird TTS dice sometimes. It's like, oh, this could be good. It's like, oh, no, that's just TTS dice.
Or the standardized TTS terrain that everybody gets used to, which is another big thing that I've noticed. So I have skimmed. I've gone through some health stuff, so I wasn't able to get through it when it got out there, but feeling a little better now. So I'm actually going to rely on both of you guys to kind of explain it to me like the 2-year-old that I am, because that's what I is right now. So what's going on? What do we have? I see this giant leak. I see a bunch of AOS players, specifically, competitive AOS players, losing their damn mind because we are almost not playing 4th edition anymore.
It's true. We're in this like weird waiting room of what the hell's going on? What are we doing? Where you see some people play testing on TTS with new rules or on the table, and they're like, oh, well, we don't have full points. We have partial rules. So this data where we're making these outlandish, opinions online is like, oh, this is all fake data. Like, why are we even?
That's exactly it.
And so like, it's almost Alex was saying earlier, it's almost like the training wheels are off, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Elucidate a little bit more, por favor. I feel like you had a great take on it, and And I had to stop us so that we could start recording because I was like, "Oh, this is gold. I want to hear. I want
That's true.
everybody else to hear this."
Yeah.
We fell right into it. So give us this gold, Alex.
Yeah. This is what happens when we don't talk for a week. We just get really excited, and then we're like, "Oh crap! Like we're supposed to be recording this."
And you know me, I'm a spreadsheet junkie and a data junkie, so I'm literally just like piling through everything, like doing math and numbers, and I love this is my time to shine. I love going through and brewing new lists. But yeah, the we're in this nice waiting period where we are expecting a battle scroll update, which should drop in what 3 days from now, 4 days from now on
I
Wednesday.
think so. Yeah,
The
Wednesday,
11th?
right? Is the expected.
Yeah.
We're recording on the 8th.
I can't think of a time where the game has changed this drastically. It felt to me the game is in an incredibly good place. Probably best it's been that I could think of ever. We have real healthy meta. Things are about to get shaken up. There's so much changing with the Scourge I ran. It almost felt like this past year at GHP, we spent a whole year playing, painting, learning essentially the core rules of fourth edition in its nutshell. To then go through and play in this super diverse, brand new field of all 12 new missions, new tactic cards like we've never played before. All 12 missions in the previous GHB were all recycled. So it was like, okay, I know how to play limited resources, kind of the same. The Vice, slightly different, under a different rule set, but at its core, it's still the same. I loved playing those missions. But
Starstruck.
It's back, baby. Always will never leave. That's such a true statement, though, because I was thinking something similar when I was trying to pour over the various things we have seen so far, where all the stuff that we kind of got used to in fourth was like a slight shift. Obviously, the addition rules were a big change, but same missions. We're still doing battle tactics, which kind of felt similar. We still had the same kind of like beats and rhythms to kind of get through on the tabletop, just like slightly different rules and things to consider. But now it's just kind of banana town. I mean, we've never had anything like the paired objectives or individual objectives, which different like kind of signifiers. The missions, every single one of them that I had a chance to see or read over felt like a wild departure from anything I'd seen before. And some of them were just like kind of crazy with the underdog abilities and things you can do. In a way, for me, it felt like some of the trickier missions we've had in the past, like limited resources and stuff like that. Everything's kind of like a limited resources now. There's a lot of ways where you don't pay attention to the mission. You were just like immolating yourself. And it's like brought the amount of tactical consideration across the board to the nth degree. That's my
oh my God,
hot take.
Yeah. Very, very much so.
One thing I noticed was the double turn or the
seize the initiative. Yeah.
The underdog changed to 11 points.
Well,
wonderful.
Yes and no. So the underdog is now automatic if whether or not you win priority or lose priority. If you're down points, down 1 point, you are the underdog. And if you get quote unquote seized on, so your opponent doubles you essentially become the permanent underdog until you double them.
Yep.
And every mission has a crazy, unique underdog ability.
Yeah, some of those are like scary underdog abilities. I'm trying to think of the type you have. Alex, you've actually had a chance to play test some of these. You probably know them much more intimately.
I've played 10 of the 12 missions, and they're fun. Yeah, they're all good.
Yeah, they look very much like something. So I want to say this in a good way because I was actually really excited when 10th came out until I realized what the maps were and how bad it was going to get. But it almost reminds me of like the sequential kind of play style of 40K 10th edition. Again, I have only like very top level skimmed this. But for me, it feels interesting in that like it's not just, I pick this thing, I've got this, and you build an army around that plan. It's like, well, I could I have I have a plan built for me already. My units have different weights to them, if I'm remembering correctly, because you have like scouts, you have um, other titles that you can give them.
Yeah, there's 6 new battle tactic cards, and we choose 2 of them in our list building step, as opposed to at the start of our turns.
That's
Which,
a massive change right there. I mean, just for anyone who hasn't paid attention, like, guys, you no longer just pick from a subset or your book and hope that it works out. You don't have to deliberately add it to your list. And they are not easy sometimes.
no, they're not. I played 10 games so far. I have not scored more. I scored 5 battle tactics once.
Oh,
Uh, and some of those you double, so you can score 2 in one turn now. So you go down in order, 3 on each card. You can do both, whatever level you're on, you can do both of those on one turn. So you could potentially have like 20-point turns, which is,
that's nuts.
it's nuts. Yeah.
Wild swing.
But you can also, if you complete it, you can choose not to do it if you don't want to go up in points.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. I did not realize that. So, like, if you're afraid of like the underdog mechanic in some mission just doing some crazy thing to you, you could say, "Nope, I choose not to take the credit this time." Bye. It's not
Yeah.
okay.
So there's one specific card called Intercept and Recover, which at the start of the game, after deployment, your opponent picks 3 of their units to become like the treasured units. So you have to go in and essentially take the treasure back from them. How the card is worded is you score at the end of the turn. You can score that card if one of the units is destroyed this battle. So you could even potentially do it on your opponent's turn, but you score it on your turn.
Oh, okay. But that's different than, say, maybe the other one. I'll use Masters of the Past as an example if anyone's seen these, where you complete this battle type at the end of your turn if an enemy hero has been destroyed this battle. So just boom.
Yeah,
You don't
same
can't
thing.
really delay it. Or you can delay it.
You can delay it. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
I guess there's a lot of strategy there too, because the underdog stuff, which we just keep alluding to, is potent.
yeah, like I've played games where I end my turn 1 where I'm like 8 points, my opponent scores 15. And then they have a 7-point turn and I have a 20-point turn too. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this escalated. It's like the thing on Will Ferrell and Anchorman. That escalated quickly.
Nice.
There's like a certain amount of muscle memory with the way the game has been for a couple of years now. It is going to freak people out, possibly freak me out, where like I will feel like it's a huge delta, even though it's so, so easy to make that up with the right combination of circumstances. Like you just talked about there, right? Being down 7 to 15 isn't going to feel too good, but then you can have that kind of swing. So
I think my favorite thing about the new system is it doesn't require almost like elite armies to have to play down to battle tactic units. Like I don't have to, for instance, if I'm playing OBR, I don't have to forcibly bring 2 units to try to score or take the flanks. Doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing. I don't have to worry about ever like deploying on the flanks again, which is great because I never wanted to.
yeah, not going to be forced to do it as your only one of 2 options in turn 1.
Don't
Right?
have to do it. I
Yeah.
can, purposely. I've been playing like take the seize the center card. It's like, oh, sweet. I want to be in the center, dishing out my big auras. Um, it's really nice, and I will say my hands down favorite thing. And I don't know if this is necessarily the favorite thing for me as a seasoned tournament player, but more so for the like middle of the pack RTT player that's like really wanting to step up their game. The analysis paralysis of having to choose a battle tactic at the start of your turn is gone. That 2 to 3 minutes where it's just like, oh God, do I set up for, I need to do flanks on my turn. And then, okay, if I do the flanks this way, my opponent has this unit here. Can I then, possibly divert and then go for like a take their lands in the backfield? Like that's all gone. So we're getting 2 to 3 minutes back, I would say on average for most players per turn per round. So you're looking at 6 minute, 7 minutes back per round. So that's an average of like 40 minutes back in your game.
That's a really good point because all that being real time on the clock in your games, every game, every turn is now front loaded to your list building. It's like, okay.
Yep.
And all you gotta do is just check to see if you did it. I guess maybe to play around with it, not that this wouldn't create people tying themselves in knots at home before they're ready for the tournament. But I think it's really interesting, like what counterplay is going to look like here. Because in the old version, it was kind of frustrate that battle tactic because they've declared they're going to do this. Now it's how can I build my list to stop people taking these tactics from doing much? And the one that kind of jumped out at me when I was kind of cogitating on that was just that first one, the Master of the Paths, right? Where they're not going to proceed in that track list that kill a hero. Well, some lists are like big mono hero and not much else and try to kill this thing. That's half your battle tactics probably locked up. If you want enough to kill the Archeon, then great. If not, I don't have to worry about those 15 points from you. That's like an interesting wrinkle to it, I think. And I bet there's other examples in the battle tactics space of what people are doing. And that's, I think, going to be real fun.
Yeah, like last night I played a game against the new Slaanesh, and oh my god, they surprised me. Matt knows my opinion on Slaanesh. I just don't respect them as an army, and I think they need complete rules rewrite. But I was surprised. They have a new heroic trait, which is literally if they're within 18 and you have temptation dice, you can't do anything. It's Bellicor, but every turn.
Yeah, they're finally getting that denial that they actually need. The army they're one of the armies that are seriously, I'm like, oh, yep, I've been like hyper painting that army for a long time now to make it like super pretty. And like, it's one of those armies that is a continual project that is always disappointed. But the particular build that I like looks really good now.
The Invaders is a really good one.
Yep.
Subfaction. You get if you're essentially the human or the mortal Slaanesh guys, and you're outside of your deployment zone, which a lot of the deployment maps on this one are like a table quarter, or the 12-inch line. So there's a lot of no man's land. You get +1 rend, just flat. No rolling, no nothing, just +1 rend. So that mortal army, if you have Glutos right there, like your Painbringers are at rend 3, your whole army's at rend 3. Like you have like what's the guy with the flowy hair? Sigvald.
Sigvald.
He's like rend 4. I'm just like I was like sitting there with my archive with 2 up armor slaves, and he's just like, take your 6 ups. I'm just like, what?
Pretty fun. And because they were always so a little bit lackluster with some of that stuff before, but these changes have helped boost them. But you guys,
and at damage 1, like they really need the rend to balance that out, right? Because you can only get mortals on a certain.
They have to cast a spell on them after you've declared them euphoric. I mean, it's definitely fun when you set it up. They can kind of go crazy, which does go with the vibe of like these frenzied excesses coming from like these hedonists running around. But of course, you guys know I'm a big Slaanesh fan. I mean, my safety word is yes. Those guys.
keep going is my safety word.
Yeah. Safety word is not enough. Please more.
But there's a lot of unique things in this mission that I know a lot of players that I think really are going to step up their game. Because I think a lot of players beat themselves up or struggle with the mental load of I have so many options to do, and I have to spend most of my brain power during my game to focus on my secondaries. I don't have the ability to really focus on the primary and play the primary. And that's where seasoned players are really going to take advantage of them and just kind of run through, just tournament brackets and stuff like that. But that's all gone now. It's the secondaries feel like secondaries instead of primaries like they were.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I love it. I personally love it.
So on that note, let's talk about like all these fancy new objective markers.
Oh
So
man.
what's going on here? What's the sauce? What
So we have what, 5 or 4? We have 4.
I think there's four.
There's
There's
four,
yeah.
I forget, I don't think
blue.
what are their names. The blue ones, the green ones, the tan ones. Is it another color? Red ones?
There's
I mean, I'm
blue.
seeing 6 in the packet. I'm seeing.
So
I'm not understanding.
I have this. I have it put up. So first off, no map has more than 6 objectives. So we're no longer playing Scorched Earth, which thank you.
Dang.
Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Alex, you know it's going to come back though. It's only not here because we're in Garan, a bounteous realm of life, where we go back to places where scorched earth happens. 8 objectives.
I will
Actually, it's just
make
gonna be
Scorched Earth when that happens.
Or is it Kamon? What's the middle one?
Camo, Chamon.
Chamon.
There is also none of the stupid long way maps. We're no longer playing long ways. So thank you, GW. I've been preaching this for a long time. If you ever go to a big tournament and it's like LVO where you're on a big row and you have to play hot dog style instead of hamburger, it's just annoying. There's not enough space for tournaments. Now, if you have like a nice open air tournament hall, no problem.
Yep. If you come to one of my GTs, sorry to cut you out there. If you come to one of my GTs, you can walk all the way around your table. But anyways,
on behalf of all the millennials who play this game and older people who are starting to have bad backs, thank you, GW.
Yeah, seriously.
Seconded on that.
Not only that, but it feels it levels the for me, those longboard missions, what are they? Hot dog or hamburger? Hamburger?
Hamburger.
Say hamburger. Those hamburger missions for like my style of play, which is I like movement. I don't really like shooting, and I don't like being a tank that can, like walk up at my own pace.
Yeah.
Like those were always the painful ones because you either get shot off the board, you bounce off, or you're funneled down to a point where you're not going to be able to do the damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
yeah, we have 4 different types of objectives now. We have the green ones, which are gnarl root. We have the red ones, which are Oakenbrow.
Yeah, okay.
We have the blue one, which is Heartwood. And then I actually can't find the name of the last one. The purple-y one. Oaken Norwood.
Yeah, oh yeah. One. It's trying to find it.
Blue one would be Outcast, right? Or purple would be Outcast.
It looks purple, like a tornado kind of.
Hello. I'm kidding. I'm late as hell. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Rocco.
Yeah. We'll call it Outcast. Better use of words. We'll call it Outcast. But it's nice. A lot of the missions have this kind of paired effect where you get like all the missions are standard. You control one, and then some of them are you get points based on what color or respond. And then there's a lot of them, and instead of the more on a lot of them, it's do I control a pair? And there's only Gnarlroot and Heartwood, which are pairs. And also some of the missions, like I played the mission last night. What is this called? Rolling Roots, where if you are the underdog, you pick a pair of objectives, and everyone contesting it, friend or foe, has strike last.
That's interesting.
That's wild.
And it so a lot of times you can do things like have your guys specifically on, I was doing it like on the edges of it. So if my opponent wanted to charge me, they had to fight last.
Okay.
And then I could just activate and in my turn and then move on to it. And then if someone wanted to activate and come into me, sorry, buddy, you fight last. I'll just do it again with another unit.
That's fun.
Works for my Daughters of Cain.
Oh my God, Doc have some serious legs now. So it is. I'm going to say this now. It is going to be an elf and cities meta.
Cities too.
Yeah,
Hold up. What did I miss?
I had a feeling.
I painted a Be'lakor tonight, and I didn't know. But like, what's going on? What world are we in?
If Be'lakor can return back to the shadows for just a little bit, I'll be happy.
Poor Be'lakor is actually targetable. All that shooting, they can't find people, supposedly.
So
I'm excited.
What's with I hear tell quite a bit about this new new obscuring effect. Yeah, like shooting. I've heard from a bunch of people that shooting armies are dead. I particularly, being the person that I am, the first person I thought was, well, it's a great thing that I have 40 bow snakes and I'm building an all shooting army for Cities of Sigmar.
Matthew.
Because those are the two things that I'm just dying. I'm going to die on a hill. If somebody says it's bad, I'm going to play it. So
you come out east and you'll die on Bunker Hill. Those guns are going to work because they can't hide monsters and fly and stuff. And enough things are monsters and fly, Matt.
That's true. Like Be'lakor, he gonna die. I'm a
the changes to obscuring is, I would say, one of the three big takeaways I have so far. So for those of you that don't know, how obscuring now works, if you are not a monster or have the keyword flying, and your unit is wholly within 1 inch, does not have to be on, wholly within 1 inch, or not wholly within 1 inch of terrain, obscuring terrain, you cannot be seen by anything not in combat with you. Now let me break that down for a second. That means you are not able to be targeted by magic. That means you are not able to be targeted by shooting. You can still, if you have a hero next to it, your hero still benefits from guarded hero because it is still an infantry unit.
Yeah.
Which is big because I will say one of the biggest takeaways from that is everyone saying shooting is dead, shooting is dead, shooting is dead. Not necessarily true. The whole map is not obscuring. You can't, you're not going to be able to hide everything.
Yep.
So choose
if
your favorite
those 40K
children.
players have anything to say about how to hide units, you can't hide everything.
Now, just for a little bit of clarification, is that even if they're in front of the terrain?
So yeah, if I have, say for instance, we'll use 6 source riders. If they're in front of the terrain and they're within 1 inch, they cannot be shot.
It's just every model, right, Alex? As long as every model is within an inch, which is so liberating for like a lot of positioning and still getting the benefit.
Also just that. Oh, go ahead.
There's a second point to obscuring terrain. If you are benefiting from the obscuring rule, your range characteristic for your range weapons is half. So you can't sit there and benefit and then just, shoot your opponents to death that are not there. Your 24-inch range becomes 12 inches, and then it's big.
That's a really interesting thing.
So just on that, because I know we were talking about earlier, this is where my point of confusion was. I thought I'd seen the wording on that where, like, if you were within the terrain itself, that half the range thing applied. But I thought if you were within an inch of the terrain and getting the obscuring benefit, but not on the terrain, there was some jank there where you could keep your longer range and have your cake needed too. But if they've actually closed loophole, Alex, so you definitely can't do that, then it's going to be interesting because it's kind of a game of cat and mouse for shooting units. They want to expose themselves and do the thing or not.
Shooting's not dead. I'll tell you this much. I've been playing only shooting lists in my game so far, and it's still very much a thing.
So another like kind of weird question here. What about units that kind of ignore line of sight?
Perfect one. Craven Guard. The shooting, spying,
the crossbows.
Crossbows, yeah. They ignore it. They don't care.
Do the high elves still have that? I mean, you don't have
the Sentinels?
No, Lumina. The Sentinels shouldn't have that. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
It's been so long since I've seen the Sentinel, I would never recall if that was the thing.
I mean, it's been so long since I've seen Lumineth. Like
They're back. They're back.
I hope so.
That spell lore
as
is amazing.
much as I'm really sad to say that.
Oh, Teclis is a
as
nerd.
somebody
He'll
gets
get
smacked all
shot
the
to
time.
death. It's fine.
Critically a flying nerd, so yes.
Another big change, which also is on the subject of obscuring terrain, places of power changed. We're no longer juicing up our wizards.
Thank goodness.
So places of power now is 3 different abilities. So we choose now.
Mm-hmm.
So only big change here. Only 1 wizard can activate it per turn. Not every wizard within 3 can try to activate it and fish for one of the abilities, which is just +1 to cast. So the first one is Cauterizing Pollen. So you roll dice. On a 1, inflict 1 mortal damage to all units within 6 inches of, get this, a place of power.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm on my place of power here on my terrain over here, and I choose Cauterizing Pollen, and I roll 1, and you're hugging your place of power over there, I could blow that one up.
That's very cool. That's a good way to stop campers.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Second, so on a 2, nothing happens, but on a 3, everyone wholly within 6 inches of a place of power heals 2.
That's
so
also very good.
You get to roll the effect
Mm-hmm.
and then choose the place of power. And a lot of these maps have 2 to 4 places of power.
Okay.
And some of the places of power are big. Like how we were seeing, like Wildwood size, we have like Wildwood size places of power now.
Okay.
That's awesome.
A lot of opportunity for it. And that's just the first of the abilities, right? Already got
Yeah, that's just the first one. So the second one is you pick an objective visible to the character that is within 12 inches of the character activating the place of power. And on a 3-up, that objective gains obscuring for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's what everyone's afraid of right now.
Yeah. It's such a amazing thing to be able to take like that objective you have to sit on and turn it into like an invisibility bunker.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Of course, you still need to roll a 3-up, right? And that Space Marine save is the bane of many.
As
many
all of us know, we cannot confidently build our game around rolling that 3-up.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
We're all going to fail it.
Not on Bellacore, not on any prayer rolls. Nope.
Yeah.
Speaking of prayers, there was a really nice little change to prayers that I caught too, where you can just charge. You just charge up. You
the D3 rather than the
D6
prayer.
Yeah.
Sacred Rites. It's a universal prayer that every priest has. Yeah.
Good.
No longer have to risk it. Just be slow and methodical.
Well, you lose 1. You lose 1 point if you roll that 1. But you no longer lose D3.
That's okay. Better than perils.
Yeah.
It'll let you bank. And also, to answer the Sentinels question, they have a crit auto wound, and their lofted shots ability is now just for the rest of the turn, add 6 inches of range to the bows, but -1 to hit when you shoot.
So a lot better given all these changes, because if they just had that cheat code, oh my god.
Yeah, they don't have the cheat code.
It was kind of a theme that switched over to 4th, right? A lot of things that have like mortals on crits moved over to auto wound, which was
which they have
really nice. Because like it meant that it meant you weren't just seeing 1 unit in the army, right? Because it was, as soon as like points were dropped by 10, you could suddenly put just enough to throw out too much damage, right? So like I welcomed that very much.
And then obviously the last one is you can unbind if you're as though you're a wizard,
which is
pretty
great.
Useful. Means you don't have to bring a whole bunch of minimum wizards just to have a chance to
have priests.
We get to my favorite change
so
far. If you do the magical intervention in your opponent's turn now, you can now banish endless spells.
So
instead
good.
of casting.
Yes.
As long as they didn't come out that turn, you could. And then we saw sweeping changes with manifestations. All universal manifestations hit on no better than a 4.
Finally.
Which is great.
No,
And
some
they
of
all
those
have
were,
a 6-up save.
OBR was feeling. Oh, OBR is still going to be the same, right? Did that change over?
We don't know. We
Ah.
don't know yet.
Gotcha.
I've been playing as if they do, but all the
Mhm.
OBR ones already hit on 4s, so it doesn't matter.
They
That's
just
fair.
feel broken regardless.
Fair enough.
It's just the 6 armor save we've been seeing on all in the spells. So like no longer is your Purple Sun or Gravetide just hammers. You shouldn't be able to just summon a hammer unit every turn. Just stupid.
Yeah. So let's talk about regiments then. Are there any changes to regiments?
Yep. So Honor Guard is gone. No longer
Long live the king.
Yeah. No
Mhm.
longer do you benefit. Well, how do I word this? No longer is there it doesn't hurt you to pack everything in your journal's reg anymore.
Nice.
I'm okay with that.
That's good.
I think
Or-
that's how it's intended.
Does it hurt
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
I mean,
But you ready for this doozy?
mhm.
If you are higher drops than your opponent,
hmm
once per game, you can re-roll the priority dice
Boom. That's
On a
where it
turn.
hurts you. That's
on
where
a
it hurts you.
turn of your choice. So you get to see what the result is, and then you have the option to re-roll.
I love that, honestly, as someone who quite habitually plays 5-drop armies.
Well, here's how I look at it. People like Rocco who love playing fish.
I do.
How would you feel if you could essentially guarantee taking the turn on turn 3 when you're always strike first? Just chef's kiss, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Guilty as charged.
yeah, that would feel really good. Like if I know,
Yeah.
like, hey, if I can just clear my opponent out now, like,
Or just
I
to
don't care.
plan around that. To be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I've got this way to ensure a double turn.
That's what it is. It's insurance. It's like that little bit like, oh, I got the
Mhm.
one, but another crack
Yeah,
at the
whether
top.
they change the tides or not, we don't know yet. But yes, currently, yes, Alex, I would love that.
Yeah,
Let's
tides are
figure it
gone. We
out.
know that.
Tell me
Yeah.
more. Tell me more.
They're gone. But
I know, but
if
we can
well, like,
pretend.
if you have like if you're able to like mentally tell yourself like, okay, we've all had these games where it's just like I can close this game out if I win this priority.
Dog, today.
Yeah,
But I was playing Eddie today.
I had one of those the other day myself.
A great game. Love Eddie. We'll talk more about our RTT later, I'm sure. But yes.
But just it's so being able to sit there with just
Mhm.
like a loaded gun, just putting on the table. It's like I'm going to use this when I
Mhm.
want to.
Yeah.
So like I can know like, okay, my opponent rolled a 3.
Mhm.
I rolled a 3. We tie, but my opponent has the option of choosing. So it's either he takes it or I could re-roll my dice.
Mhm.
So it's a 50-50 of me just winning it at that point.
How many times have you both rolled a 1 and go, well, here we are?
Or
I know.
6. So then I guess that there's another question that pops up because of that. Does that change who goes first?
I think it does and it doesn't. I think there's a lot of those armies that don't care.
Yeah. Some armies want to stay low drops to stay low drops, but
yeah. You know, you have those armies that you need to take board position early.
Mhm.
I'm
or
gonna call
alpha
it
bunkers.
Night Haunt for one. If I'm playing an alpha pin army, I'm still gonna want to go first.
Yep.
But there's with that said, with the reroll the dice, if my opponent rolls a 5, I'm not going to spend my once per game reroll.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
unless I have to. So, you know,
it's just like the game on that one dice for some reason.
And then you know what? You have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Good enough. You know, at least give yourself a chance if it gets that desperate.
I don't think it's incredibly game breaking, but A lot of those armies that we have played, that's like, okay, I'm so used to being forced to play high drops. Like, I know how to play turn one if I go first or second. I know what my plan is with my battle tactic cards if I can physically and mentally prepare for what to do in either situation. But I have that extra insurance now in my back pocket if I want. It's not going to come up every game or every so often, but when it does, it's you know
Game breaking.
it's game breaking because sometimes when we're playing in RTTs or GTs, you have to have luck in order to go deep in those.
Yep.
And sometimes if you're able to make your own luck, you're just gonna get through that next step, that next hurdle without having to worry about other things.
I agree with that
Dice
100%. I just love that change because I feel like, the first turn alpha strike is just more and more perilous because of that one little factor.
Yeah, it
A
does
lot of these
definitely dissuade that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Alex.
a lot of these new tactic cards too, they're not kill a unit. They're not sit
They
on
do
circle.
stuff.
You have to interact on the table with your opponent,
which is good.
There are some of them which I'm sure we're going to get some FAQs on how things are done, because I will say, with all the changes to the new GHB and me really liking it a lot, boy, did GW not hire a copyright to proofread this book.
They never do.
Countershoot says your shooting phase. Charge has Charge got reworded.
Wait, why?
So Charge no longer says within 12 inches. So, for instance, if I'm doing face strikes, which is the second tactic on Attune to Garan, which is I need to retreat with 2 units and charge with 2 other friendly units, one of them which must finish a charge in combat with the unit I retreated from. If I just have Joe Schmo Wizard sitting here in the back on my backfield, I just declare a charge.
He's getting charged up. He's just pumping him up. He's cheering from the sidelines.
I roll my dice. It literally doesn't matter. He is charged. He now counts as being charged.
Ooh.
So
that's
it's no longer
not what they meant at all.
They'll fix that.
No.
Yeah. So I'm sure my understanding is we're getting a big FAQ on the 11th, which is day 1 of everything. But I would plan on not playing it. Playing is like you have to finish within half inch for your charge.
Yeah. I'm going to mentally just assume that's where that will go, but that's a fun little piece of tech in the interim.
Yeah. So like I've been playing Catapult OBR. I'm just like my Catapult charges.
Yeah. Hopefully that gets fact real quick.
I played like 2 missions like that. I'm just like, I'm just going to play it the other way.
So
let's like one of those things that like punches the air right out of it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
I was just circle around a little bit to the shooting topic, because I think that's one of the things I've seen bubbling around. And you've mentioned, Alex, you've been playing Catapult OBR. Shooting hasn't been dead for you, and it's probably not dead for others. Let's just talk a little bit about your experiences with that. Like, how has shooting still been very much alive? Because that's, I think, a good thing to know.
I think so. In my playtest games, well, first off, terrain isn't as quote unquote dense. A lot of armies want to have bubbles with their own shooting or bubbles with their own abilities.
Sure.
You
take
can't
up a large footprint.
If everything is hiding in terrain, you can't be seen. So you're not buffing yourself. There's not a whole lot of terrain for anything. And if, say, for instance, if I'm playing like a gunline army, I think one of the strongest armies right now are probably human cities with the new cannon subfaction.
Shut up.
Love it.
I'm not joking. I honestly, cities right now is incredibly undercosted.
Yep. Yeah.
Incidentally, Rocco is making a narrative army of all guns right now.
Hey. I already owned a bunch of Fusiliers, sir.
This is 900 points, Rocco. 20 horses and 3 cannons.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
Right.
That's 900 points.
Feels like a lot more, doesn't it? Oh my god.
No, really.
I
But then
mean,
you get
until the
that
horses start
ogre with the
swinging.
sniper to give every cannon +1 to hit on one target you need dead.
Well,
and then take the thing where you get the reroll.
The new cannon sub faction where you can reroll one in every shooting, damage, or wound for every cannon, or up to 3.
Gray water fastness, baby.
So good. But like
that might be my next RTT army for us.
If
do it.
If you are going to sit there and hug terrain and not play the primary or secondary, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's no longer we no longer play a game where I mentally have to plan on scoring my tactic on turn 1, 2, or 3. You can complete all 6 of your tactics in 3 turns. That means you can double and not tactic that turn, but it doesn't matter. I can score it on the following turn.
Yeah.
I can still complete it on my turn I doubled, but I can't score it until the following turn.
So that does bring up an interesting question then. One of the things that I think everybody was super happy about when we moved over to third from second was the level of interactivity that happened with, the reply in your opponent's turn, right? The ability to kind of have an effect on what your opponent was doing, right? How does that feel now with the new battle tactics? Because if those can be scored, all at once, or set up to be done, how does that interplay feel now?
I will say the games are more interactive in my opinion. I always looked at maps like this. Your game state is broken up into 3 sectors. You have your meat and potatoes in the middle where you're kind of fighting over dense or partially spread maps where there's like 4 objectives, 3 in the middle, or the 5. Sure. And then you have like your first third of the table, which is in the middle, the meat and potatoes. That's where the scrum happens. You need to essentially dominate that. And then you have the 2 sub games on the side where you have one on each flank where it's just like, okay, we both need to score, take the flanks. And then whoever wins that take the flanks battle can then possibly go on and do reclaim the realms, take their lands. We now have one game, which is just full on interaction everywhere because we're now almost all the maps are 4 or 5 objectives in some form of like weird zigzag Z, or just like the 4 with like 1 in the middle. And we're no longer playing the side games, which is, I would say, kind of a good and a bad thing. Depends on how you want to look at it. Like Jack playing his Dark Oath no longer has to take 2 Dark Oath Rider units to take the flanks if he doesn't want to.
Yeah, exactly. There's no tax on it. I can do other more interesting things.
Now, if Jack wants to take 3 of those units for his scouting force and then kind of wrap around all 3 of them together and be like the Rohirrim coming into the Orcs and Return of the King, he can do that. Nice. But it's no longer sub games with the meat and potatoes happening in the middle.
Okay.
Cool. So it doesn't feel like a return to first where it's basically, we're all in the middle now.
Yeah. No, we're no longer playing change host or murder host where I'm just forcing as many 100 who gets the first 100 demons in the middle of the table first.
And we're not teleporting, change host, all that bullshit. You just gave me some chills, man. I didn't need that in my life no more.
Rocco getting PTSD of Vietnam.
Yes.
Oh God. Oh God.
Change host will do that. It has
I had
to.
a change host wreck. I had a 21 game winning streak between like a league and some tournaments, and I just bounced right off that fucker from all the pink horrors, and then it teleported around and murdered me more.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
But it really lets you think about it, how the missions play.
Very fun game, but yeah.
As Mason always talks about, think about your games in three turns. Playing your game 3 turns in advance. And you can kind of do that now. So you can I know my strategy. Matt tells me shows me his list, and then shows me his battle tactic cards. I can kind of immediately have a brief idea. Okay, Matt's playing Neferata and a bunch of Black Knights.
Sure.
Okay, he has the Scouting Force card, and then he has a Tunic Iran. Okay, so I know I'm gonna force Matt to have to kill my 3 little wizards in my OBR army, where I know if they die, I'm already losing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I know Matt now has to not interact with me with 3 Black Knight units to score his first battle tactic card on turn 1.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about those units coming into me if Matt wants to score his points, which is kind of like a give and play. Also, I know if that's his strategy going into it, I can bank 2 CP to then try and countercharge.
Yeah.
And he knows that he has to keep them out of countercharge range, which forces him off the primary.
Yes, and whoever screws that up first gets the advantage. All right, I see you.
So finesse. It sounds like there's a great deal of finesse that's allowed.
Yeah.
So
like in my experience with playing OBR catapults, I played against a couple of people who have the Scouting Force card, which for those who are listening, at the start of the battle, you pick 3 non-hero infantry units or non-hero infantry units and cav units wholly within your friendly territory become scouts. So if you're deep striking, they're not, or they're in some form of reserve, they're not considered scout units. So I know if Matt has everything in the grave and just 3 units of Black Knights on the table, Matt, and I kill one of those, Matt cannot score any of his tactic cards.
Sad for me.
Sad for Matt, which I don't want to make. I want to make Matt sad at this game, but I know then if he comes out of his obscuring and I just blast him with my catapults, his tactics are dead in the water.
Well.
So this then brings up another interesting question. So let's say a unit like K-Knight Shadowstalkers, which can lift up off the table and be set back down. How does that work in the new tactics? How does that work with this?
Can they be set up and do the battle tactic?
Right.
So, for instance,
there's a good question, right?
Yes, which is awesome.
Shadowstalkers
are Docker in it now. I'm telling you this. Doc are in it because with obscuring terrain, you can hide war machines. I can hide my Cauldron of Blood, dishing out my prayers and my armor buff. In terrain, you cannot shoot it or target it.
It doesn't need line of sight to do that?
It doesn't need line of sight.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
a little scary right there.
We're sitting there, it's like, okay, now we're cooking.
So it's really funny. This has been very serendipitous that I've been painting my dock again lately. But,
I miss my Stormcast hero that had the hunting horn that could blow up terrain now. Good Lord.
This is the time.
I had enough games of Jack rolling up with like Jack Ballard rolling up with like 6 or 7 of those.
Oh yeah.
Where it was just like, okay, that's your list. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna play all Dragon Ogres. Let's see if I can heal before you delete me. Let's do it. Come on, let's go. I am
Jack
happy
Ballard
to see
doesn't half-ass a thing.
There are 2.
It's so
a lot
funny.
of the missions where you benefit from controlling all the pairs or more of them. So say, for instance, like if I'm playing a unit of, or 2 or 3 units of Canary Life Takers, I'm just coming on the table, shooting, and I'm going to move back on the objective. I control the pair. I immediately get a buff.
Nice.
That's nice.
So it seems like it's moving back to more of a movement-based feel then, because if you're going for objectives, you're not going for like battle tactic 1 or 2 that I have my first turn planned around. Battle tactic, 3 and 4 that I have my second turn planned around, right?
It seems like that for sure, like from some of the maps and even with some of the asymmetry they have, it needed to be specifically on one particular objective to get more points or to reach it. If you're like tugging some little corner of the battlefield that's one all the way off in the middle line, I think movement's king. And I think that it's going to be real fun to see that come into play.
100%. Well, also too, with the missions, the primary max is 50 points with 30 points from the secondaries. We are now at an 80-point games.
That was my next question.
In my 10 games, I've never scored more than 57 points. That's the most I've scored.
Okay.
I kind of love that.
I do too, because in win-loss brackets for GTs, we are going to see much,
wonkier
points
scoring.
Not wonkier scoring, but much more accurate scoring.
Okay.
Where, for instance, if, Jack and I are playing and we have a 44-point win and, Matt and Rocco are playing and then Jack clearly tabled me with a 44-point win and then you two are playing and it's like, okay, time's coming close. It's turn 4. It's like real close. It's like, okay, let's just talk out the last part of the mission. And it's just like, okay, well, Rocco might have won the game, so we're just going to score Rocco getting max points. Now, Jack, who has tabled me, who's in a 44-point thing, would probably score 50 to 60 points if he was tabling me. Where your game was much more tight, where you're still have another turn and a half to worry about these things. Your win would probably only be like a 30 to 40-point win. So someone who's actually taken that major victory, we're going to see those major victories be much higher scoring. And also, if your opponent scored 70, 80 points, something clearly has gone wrong, or someone is cooking that score.
Super
dice are wrong one way or another.
But I think that goes into another episode where I just want to talk about the etiquette of talking through a game and what y'all think about it, because I have some very interesting feelings about that. But that being said, like knowing that the scoring is going to be that far, like the capacity for scoring 80 points, like that feels so much better than tying everything down to a minor or a major, right? Like a minor or a major win, and we just in a future episode we'll see how many people we can get on that actually played the tournament, and we're going to do like a full like get together breakdown and like talk through it just to kind of show like how clubs do this at tournaments, right? How to make each other a better player. And you don't even have to be in a club to do it. Just like talking to your opponents after their games, like and just getting better together, which is always the goal, right?
Absolutely, right. A way to highlight the conversational, like, hey, what could I have changed? What could I have done? The way we kind of help each other improve, with like that communal effort.
Like I will say this from a TO point of view.
Go ahead.
Strictly from a TO point of view, if I saw one of my players score an 80-point game, I'm walking up to that table and asking them to explain to me what happened.
I agree.
Because a lot of times you'll see someone who will just like, at LVO, I hear this all the time, and I will never do this. But I have seen it, and it's not my game, it's not my place. I'm not the tournament organizer. But my opponent something horribly wrong happened on turn 2-ish, and my opponent's playing Alpha Strike Army, and they're like, just score yourself max points.
Yep. And I can't stand that. I'm sorry. As a TO, that kind of thing
I hate it.
nuts.
I hate it.
But Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You need to have that integrity. And if I see someone score, I would say even 75 plus points, I'm walking up to that person and I'm asking them to explain to me exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's also continue. I don't want to cut you off, Matt.
No, but like this is so amazing because as a TO, and like I was just saying earlier, we just had an instance of this kind of pop up when we were looking at rankings for ours, where it's like a major win and a major loss almost have so much more swing because of the points allocated to a major win when it may not necessarily be one for how the game is like been played and the decisions that were made, like the scoring is just, it hasn't found like a true ranking system competitively.
Yeah.
Like, and I know they're like, I've had games with one of our patrons, especially at the beginning of fourth, where I was just like, I got visibly angry because I was winning the game and I was playing the objectives and ended up with a major win while getting just decimated. I think like one model left on the table at the end of the game, and he had about half his army. And I like it sounds like that's going to be a lot harder for that situation to happen. Like I was angry because I was like, well, I'm failing the game and somehow winning.
Yeah.
Obviously objective play and knowing your battle tactics, yada, yada, yada. But like the fact that it could swing that far while still getting brutally beaten up, that shouldn't be available to happen. So like now that it's 80 points, you get to the amount of objective control that you have to have. That means you have to have an army on the table.
It has to be doing something.
by,
yeah.
Right.
You can't just like play like the charades game in the corner and somehow sneak it, quite as easily, which is good. I do think the percentage allocation between secondary versus primary being so much more weighted towards primary kind of absolutely does that. Alex, you had something. I have a thought. I want to come back to you after that, just on like what Matt was talking about. We'll let the talking about, but go ahead.
The third tactic card, the third tactic on all these cards is insanely hard.
They all look stupidly hard. The second one looks kind of hard, just not knowing what's going on.
I've played 10 games of the new GHB. I will say on average, I score 3 tactics.
Okay.
Across the 2 cards, about half the points.
Across the 2 cards, about half the points.
Okay.
I would say of the 10 games, 4 of them I've scored 4